Welcome back to the show, people. My next guest this week is none other than Asa K, who has been here with me since the beginning of my show. Welcome.
Hi everyone, happy Friday, welcome back. Curry College, WMLN 91.5, the college radio to your local neighborhood of the Milton, Boston area. It is such a pleasure to be here, Leah. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem, dude. And it is an interview, so I am going to ask you some questions.
Of course.
You're very versatile and you're very dominating in the performing arts.
I mean, that is true. I try to, performing arts I've been doing for a while. I started singing and dancing freely when I was in elementary school, and in middle school I started taking up some more performing arts, more focused on like band and chorus and stuff like that. And it wasn't really until high school that I started getting heavily involved. And my first college I was at, I was doing more performing arts stuff there, and then here at Curry, just being a part of the choir, either credit-wise or non-credit-wise, and now I'm in dance too. So for me, it's kind of just all a learning experience. I don't try to put myself above other people, especially in the performing arts, because the environment for what I learned throughout my years is to just be more of like a family, be more of a community, and kind of lift each other up. So yeah.
What is your best genre for dance? Like, what's your best dance style?
Oh man, that's kind of a hard question. There's so many different types of dance that I've been exposed to over the course of my life, but I think one of my favorites that I was introduced to around like 9 or 10, maybe even 11 years old, was the dance style of funk music. It really hits home for me. I used to do roller skating a couple of years ago. I need to get back into it slowly, but just the vibrance, the vibe, and the music that these roller rinks kind of generate is kind of a vintage feel of 19th century funk, and I just absolutely love the music that comes from that era, and also the artists that come from that era.
19th century? I thought it was 20th century.
I mean, it's both. Every genre has a birth and development, and so I feel like that funk wasn't really beginning to generate, at least out of knowledge, but I'm not correct for sure, but I per se started listening to that kind of music pre-exposure of relatives and people that I used to live with, and parents, of course, and so it's definitely heavily influenced some of my movements and stuff.
When did you first get interested in music in general?
Oh my goodness. Music in general. Well, so, my family's been definite influencers in music. not by any means famous at all. But music has been such a key life-saving thing for me per se, and then kind of like taking it and utilizing my voice was definitely a discovery made in kind of late middle school years for me, like 7th or 8th grade. So I think the kind of discovery of music, or when did I really start getting involved, probably was around middle school again, like 7th or 8th grade. But I knew it was always a part of my upbringing, my childhood, things like that. And believe it or not, out of my siblings and I, here I am at Curry. It's my senior year, but I study community. I have 2 minors in youth advocacy and music, and out of my siblings, there's only 5 of us, including myself. And I'm the only one that studies kind of music heavily. I had always thought that maybe one of my other siblings would also study music, but they're doing other great things, so I couldn't be more proud of them. But yeah, no, music has definitely been a life changer, a lifesaver, and just such a huge part of my life.
What is your biggest strength in music?
Biggest strength? Let's see. These are good questions. It makes me have to think for a little bit. Biggest strength in music, I'd have to say, is supporting others. In the choral setting and outside of the choral setting, I try to kind of help other people. And of course, it isn't like active, but like when I'm in chorus, when I can be there, there are a handful of students in the class that ask me or listen to what note I'm singing. And it's become so uniform, kind of a part of my character, to just kind of be kind of a backbone for somebody else. And I know, if I'm helping somebody else, I know I'm doing something good. So it's not about, for me, it's not about how loud I'm singing. It's not about if I'm getting the right notes or not. It's not about if I get a solo or not. That doesn't matter. What matters to me is the connection and development of the group. And if we have a group, whether it's 10 people, 5 people, 2 people, 40 people, the connection of the group is very important, because if the group is off, or if the group isn't really vibing well with each other, then our music and our messaging and our unification for performances and our ability to perform could reflect our connection as a group. So for me, I think just building, when I get, everybody's got something going on for sure. So I can definitely adhere to the fact that it's not easy making friends. It's not easy communicating. It's not easy making connections. It's not easy being a college student, nonetheless. It's not easy growing up. It's not easy being an adult. It's not easy micromanaging all that's going on here and at home. But one thing I can tell you, you know, outside of chorus, in relation to music and in relation to moving forward, whichever steps any of you take ahead, or any chapters that you are planning on beginning, is allow yourself to, you know, whether it's someone you used to know, someone you are just meeting for the first time, or someone that you know of and want to get to know more, you know, if there's any wisdom, it's definitely just, you know, push yourself just a little bit, because socially it's a difficult world. It's a difficult
Absolutely.
time. A lot of us are kind of on the tail end of COVID, but you know, outside of that too, it's you know, we're kind of on the tail end of a lot of things going on in our lives. So for me in choir, it's really just talking with other people, making those connections, and building a community of singers that I am proud of, regardless of, you know, if I'm there every Monday or Wednesday, or you know, if I'm there once a week, or if I only show up for the performances and sing it. It's really just developing those connections. And if you haven't already, please come to homecoming. I believe it's next weekend.
October 16th.
Yep, we do have a concert. Come check us out.
At 11 o'clock. That's when our concert is.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic event. Praises to our, you know, blessings to our music department. You know, shout out to Emily, Howard, Christine for the dance. All of our private
We
lesson
love
people.
you.
Yeah, you guys are fantastic, and you know, life changers for sure. So thank you.
That is amazing. Like, that is extremely amazing. Like, I love the director. I love the kids there. It's, well, we're adults now. I don't know why. I'm used to saying kids. Because, 2 years ago, I was in high school. And I'm still used to saying kids.
Yeah.
What groups have you been before, sing?
Oh my goodness. There's a list. I don't know if you want to hear the list. It's quite long.
Anything that will take up for 30.
Anything that will take like 30 minutes. Okay, so let's backtrack here. Let me see if I can remember this all. It is written down in a file cabinet somewhere, but I cannot locate that file cabinet. Nor is it on me, so here we go. First music experience was middle school. I know I did some small, like, kind of Mother's Day Follies events in elementary school, which is kind of standard. You know, you're part of the elementary choir, you do 2 songs, you do 3 songs, very, like, core memory stuff. Middle school, I was a part of the band. I played the tuba, which you can only imagine, you know, this, I popped around to many different middle schools. Yeah, band kids, let's go.
I was a clarinetist at the school band from like 4th grade all the way to 12th grade.
Yeah.
In 12th grade, I was both clarinet and alto clarinetist.
Yeah, no, shout out to all my band kids. I don't know how you guys do it. So let's see. So I played tuba for a year. This was, believe it or not, my 7th middle school that I transferred to, right before high school. So I played the tuba for a year. And my brother, my youngest brother, he's only a year younger than me, or my younger brother, he played the strings, and he played specifically the bass
So we both had these huge, massive instruments, and they told us not to bring it home to practice. So it was kind of when you're in school, you can practice the instrument. So, and my grandmother at the time was like, there's no way you're bringing these massive instruments home. We, lived in a small space. So I played tuba, brother played strings, and I was also in chorus as well. So it was kind of this managing thing of doing both, being there for both events. And I remember it like it was yesterday. There was a band concert that I was a part of, and it was storming like crazy in South Florida. And we didn't have a car at the time, so I had to take my bicycle. I hopped on my bike. It was like 5:30 p.m. The street lights, the curfew was like 7 p.m. at the time, or 7:30. And so I hop on my bike, and my brother and I had to be at this concert by like 6:15. So we're biking, and we're in our dress clothes, and we're biking to this concert at the high school. And of course the middle school was performing and everything, and we showed up late. Our teachers did not allow us to perform in the band because we were all soaking wet. It was just a band function, and we go back home, and the next day I go into choir. And apparently there was also a choir thing happening, but it was prior to the band concert. So for some reason I could only remember that I was doing band at that specific date. And my choir teacher's like, okay, so we're gonna hand you like this 5-page essay that you have to write. It's gonna specifically be on Beethoven. You have a week. No resources, no computer. We're going to give you a CD of like 5 or 6 songs that you can listen to, and you're going to write down, everything that you heard in this CD. But I didn't have any resources, so I'm sitting there like, okay, well, I'll see what I can do with this 5-page essay that you want me to write about Beethoven. But yeah, so that was my first kind of kickoff to choir and band. In high school, I did choir for 4 years. Such a blessing. Fantastic teacher named Stephanie Wiggin. Shout out to her, I know. She was such an influential person in my life. In high school, I did the musicals. So I took part in Seussical the Musical, which was my freshman year. My second year, I took part in Oklahoma, which is a fantastic musical. My junior year, I did Big Fish, which is unheard of, but still a fantastic classic. And my senior year, I did Mary Poppins. And for most of these years, I would be kind of understudying for the main role, which was also just as challenging as, managing your own role. But I loved all the shows. The musicals were fantastic. I loved being a part of that specific group of people. Outside of chorus and the musicals, I took part in a few clubs. So I did Winooski Valley, which was, qualifying singers in our valley area, which was made up of like 6 or 7 towns. And each year we'd have a concert, and you'd have to audition, and you'd have to, of course, get in, be qualified, and we'd do a show each year, and that was made up of like maybe 200 some odd singers. So it was a great experience. I did that for 4 years. I was a part of, so what was that? That was Winooski Valley. And then I took part in, I believe it's either All States. Yeah, it was All States. I took part in All States for, I think, either a year or 2. And so that was, at the time, both of those meets were in Connecticut, I believe. And that was it was a harder competition to get into. But once you were in, you were set, you were good to go. I took part in that for 2 years, I believe. but someone from my old school would probably correct me wrong. Great experience as well, a lot of professional young adults, young singers. And then I took part in All States for a year, and that was even harder to get into because the audition process was a little bit more strict. And that was made up of close to maybe 200, maybe 300 singers, but it was around the New England area. So it was very tough to get in. But again, once you were in, it was just an amazing experience. Outside of those, I took part in an a cappella group.
A cappella!
A short period of time.
I did that my senior year.
A cappella gang, yeah.
Ladies first, shout out to you if you're listening to this. I love y'all.
Yep. Took part in a cappella for a little while. Small groups in the area, of course. You know, if there was a group that wanted me on their team, sure, let's go for it. I took part in singing in kind of a religious context. So, you know, in church, I would sing every weekend for quite some time. We took part in a jazz festival for 2 years, so I was a part of the jazz choir for a couple of years. In addition, I was a part of the gospel choir for a year, and that was kind of public school related. And then I think there's one more that I'm forgetting. Oh, the most important one was honors choir, which was a fantastic group of 16 singers at its peak. Loved all those people. It really gave me a sense of community, and I took part in honors choir for 3 years. So one would say I'm kind of an accomplished singer in terms of the academic standpoint, but for me, I don't see myself as an accomplished singer. I just see myself as someone that has a continuing interest to learn more. My first college, I sang the national anthems at the games, and I did kind of jazz concert solo stuff. So I remember like right before COVID hit, I was learning a piece for the jazz band, which had never been done before there. And I took a number of solos in the choir at my previous college. Shout out to Landmark College, Putney, Vermont. And then here, I've just done a number of solos, a numerous amount of events. Emily Howe, God bless, shout out to you. You've given me a lot of opportunities to sing and to take part in a lot of events, so thank you. So yeah, that's kind of my music journey so far.
Yeah, bless you, Emily. If you're listening to this, shout out to you as well. Love y'all. We love you. And as you mentioned, you were in the musical, so you also act as well, and I also know that you do impressions. What are some of the best impressions that you enjoy doing?
Oh man. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Impressions. Well, there's only one impression, maybe two, that I do really well. And what's funny about this first impression that I can do is that I used to work at a summer camp for a while. And at that summer camp, my fellow co-counselors used to go around and they used to say, "Oh yeah, this person, Asa, is Mickey's cousin, is the one and only Mickey Mouse's cousin." And so every time I would go into my classrooms and every time I would go into my homerooms with my kiddos over the summer, and I'd of course bounce around to different age groups and stuff, they'd always be like, "Oh my gosh, you know, you're Mickey Mouse's cousin, and you know, where's Mickey?" and all this stuff. And it was just such a great experience. Again, huge shout out to my kids back home. Huge shout out to my family back home, in the summer camp especially. Such a wonderful experience. But all those kids, man, every day, "Where's Mickey Mouse? Where's, you know, are you really Mickey Mouse's cousin?" And it was just kind of silly, but I can do it for you if you want. If,
Sure.
You know, if you want to.
Show it off. Show it off to all those people that are listening to us. Oh boy, hot dog, hear it.
All right, I'm a little nervous, but here we go.
Oh boy, it's me, Mickey Mouse. Wanna come inside my clubhouse?
So I used to like do words and everything. Thank you, Mickey Mouse, by the way.
Shout out to Walt Disney, Wayne Allwine, and Brett Iwan.
Yeah, he's you know, that voice I've been doing for only a couple of years now. I didn't really master it until like maybe late high school. Very simple voice too, and kind of a horror voice as well. You know, like you don't want to be. You know, if I were to hear that voice behind me or something, and then you know I was walking back to wherever I was going, I'd be a little freaked out. So definitely not a voice to try at night, but it's such a classic character too. You know, Mickey Mouse is such a fan favorite, and again, shout out to my kids back home. Like,
He's been around since 1928.
yeah.
Are you a huge fan of Disney?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of Disney Plus. The subscription, man, you know, it's climbing to close to like $90 a year. So I love Disney Plus. I pay for it for my siblings and I. Great streaming service to watch. Very, very high priced. In terms of, you know, being a developing college student. But the films, the classic films, the traditional princess movies that we all know and love, the classics that we grew up with being 2000s babies or you know, at late, you know, 1995, 1996 babies. Man, these movies, man, you know, my sister is 15 years old. My youngest sister is 15 years old. And, you know, sad, you know, because I'm like, oh man, you know, sis, you know, do you remember, you know, Finding Nemo, or do you remember Cars, or do you remember Toy Story? And these were movies that, man, you know, these are these classic movies that, or you know, Bug's Life, Up. I don't even have a list on me, but there's a handful. Monsters Inc. These movies, and my sister would turn to me and be like, you know, Asa, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. And so I was like, okay, so if anybody needs this subscription to Disney Plus, you're the first one that needs to, because you, my friend, need to get educated in some of these classic, you know, Hallmark, family-friendly core memory films. So, you know, definitely check it out if you don't already, which I think Disney Plus has been a couple of years now that it's been out. Definitely get yourself a singular Disney Plus subscription for the friends and family, or you can do the bundle Hulu, ESPN, Disney Plus for those who like, you know, your family favorites, your sports, and of course Hulu.
I meant like the Disney company itself, not Disney Plus, but I can tell that you're a huge Disney fan, so.
Yeah, I mean both. I remember first going to Disney World. I remember first going to Disney World when I was a kid, that's in Florida, right? Disneyland is in California, Disney World is in Florida.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so Disney company, huge in terms of animation and voiceovers. I like them both. Yeah.
What's the second impression that you like doing?
So second impression, I used to work in a restaurant, and the head chef at the time, it was my freshman year of high school, and the head chef at the time every time I used to walk in even 5 or 10 minutes late, because the importance about the kind of rule about a restaurant is if you're not 5 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late. You always want to be ahead of time, and I just started slowly over the course of my 4 years in high school. I slowly developed this kind of good work ethic reputation in restaurant business. I never was a head chef or a sous chef or anything like that, but by the time I was a senior, I was coming in at like noon at this restaurant that I worked, and I was with two guys that were on here in America from the Middle East. Great guys, Pritam, Prakash. They were from the Middle East, and they were here finishing their senior year of college in the Middle East, and they were studying food ethnicity, food study, chef work, and they were here for a year. I mean, they were like some of my closest friends that I had during that time, and they still are. You know, I miss them every day. But by the end of my high school career, my academic career, I was, you know, coming in at like 12 midday, and I would stay until 11 p.m. at night, because that's just kind of the dedication that a kitchen needs. And I was doing like prep work till dinner service, and from dinner service onward, I was kind of busing and also doing some more prep work. So it was a good experience. But the second impression, is from a guy who I worked with my freshman year in the first restaurant that I was ever in. And anytime I would come in late, he'd be like, "Ooh, I can't even do it." Raggy. So it's like this whole Scooby-Doo thing. I can't do it great. I'm not.
That was really good. That was actually really good.
You know, I'd walk in the door. Raggy, Asa's 5 minutes late. You know, I would be like, oh man, here we go.
You sound like Frank Welker. Shout out to you, Frank Welker.
And Scooby-Doo, such a classic cartoon.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. Thank you for coming. That's Asa K, everybody.
Man,
woo!
Thank you for having me here. Thank you for letting me be a part of the show. If there's any song that I could recommend to play next, I don't know if you have it queued up yet, but it's probably Cold Heart by Elton John. I'm not sure if it's on the list. If it's not, that's totally fine. But thank you again.
Yeah, there's I believe that's Cold Heart by Elton John and Dua Lipa. So
awesome. Well, listen, thank you again. I hope everyone is having a fantastic Friday. Leah, thank you for the interview. WMLN, thank you for having me. And welcome back to Curry College Friends, 91.5 FM, the college radio to your local neighborhood of Milton, Boston. And we hope you enjoy Cold Heart
by Elton John and Dua Lipa. Hit it!